Hey guys, tonight we journey into the serene courts of the Jerusalem temple, where the soft morning light filters through ancient stones and the air carries whispers of timeless prayers. You find yourself among the quiet, devoted worshippers, drawn into the gentle rhythm of sacred routines that have echoed here for generations. This is the world where Anna the Prophetess begins her remarkable life of faithful service, a life woven deeply into the fabric of a city longing for peace and hope. As you settle in, you notice the subtle sounds, the flicker of oil lamps, the soft rustle of prayer shawls, and the calm murmur of voices lifted in reverence. You may feel, as many do, a quiet longing for a presence that reassures and restores, something beyond the noisy rush of daily life. Anna's story offers just that, a peaceful witness to a promise yet to unfold, a reminder that patience and prayer have their sacred place. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to hear where you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand at the edge of the temple courtyard, watching as the first worshippers arrive to light incense and lift prayers. Anna is there, though you do not see her just yet, for she moves quietly with steady purpose. Known as a prophetess, she is a woman whose life has become a prayer itself. You imagine her youth spent learning the sacred traditions, growing in faith, and preparing for a future that only God could reveal. The temple, the heart of Israel's worship, is more than stone and ritual. It is a sanctuary of hope. For Anna, this place is a refuge where her soul finds its rest amid the pressing uncertainty of her people's days. It's worth pausing to consider what it meant to be a prophetess in this time. Women prophets are mentioned only a few times in Scripture, yet their voices carry a gentle power. Anna's story is brief but significant. She stands as a witness in a culture where so often women's roles were limited. Her presence at the temple tells us that God's calling transcends gender and that the divine can work through those who quietly wait and watch. Scholars still discuss whether Anna's prophetic role involved speaking public messages or if her prophecy was more deeply spiritual and contemplative. Either way, you sense that her life is a bridge between the old hopes of Israel and the dawning of something new. In the shadow of Herod's temple, Anna's early days unfold amid the muted sounds of sacrifice and prayer. You might imagine the scents of cedar and frankincense mingling with the cool Jerusalem air as Anna moves through the holy place. She is young, faithful, and drawn to the sacred rhythms that mark each day. You can almost hear her breathing in sync with the rising chants, her heart tuned to the quiet pulse of divine presence. Here, in these moments, the foundation of her lifelong devotion is laid, rooted in a love that does not waver, even as years stretch ahead in waiting. Remember that gentle sense of stillness, the way time seems to slow in the temple's shadow. Anna's story invites you to step into that calm, to listen for the sacred whispers beneath the clamor of the world. What does it mean to wait faithfully for a promise unseen? This is a question that lingers softly as you begin to follow her path. You sense that her journey is one not of grand spectacle, but of steady, patient faith, an invitation to find peace in quiet expectation. You continue to follow Anna's footsteps, now deeper into the heart of her life's calling, her devotion to prayer. Imagine her rising each morning before the city stirs, the cool Jerusalem air wrapping gently around her. She moves toward the temple with a quiet resolve, a heart anchored in the stillness of the early hours. Prayer is not merely a ritual for Anna. It is the breath of her soul, a constant conversation with God that shapes every moment. As you listen, you hear the soft murmur of her words, a steady stream of gratitude, petition, and longing. Prayer, in Anna's time, is deeply intertwined with community and tradition. The temple pulses with daily sacrifices and psalms, and Anna immerses herself fully in this sacred rhythm. You might picture her in the temple's outer courts, where the light filters through the olive trees, or inside near the altar, where the fragrance of burning offerings mingles with the soft chant of the Levites. Her prayers blend with these ancient sounds, creating a tapestry of faith that envelopes the space. For Anna, prayer is both personal and communal, an offering of herself and a plea for the nation's redemption. What is remarkable about Anna's prayers is their unwavering persistence. Scripture tells us she never left the temple but worshipped night and day, fasting and praying. Luke 2 verse 37. This steadfastness invites you to reflect on the discipline of faith that often goes unseen, the quiet moments when no one else is watching. You can almost feel the gentle weight of her dedication, the balance between sorrow and hope carried in her heart. Scholars wonder whether her prayers were mostly for her people's restoration or if they held a deeper, more personal longing for the coming Messiah. Perhaps it was both, a mingling of national grief and personal hope. As you imagine Anna's daily worship, you notice the role of fasting in her spiritual life. Fasting here is more than abstaining from food. It is a deliberate practice of humility and surrender. In the quiet spaces between meals, Anna opens herself more fully to God's presence, creating room for listening and transformation. This kind of fasting is a rhythm of the soul, a way to focus the heart's attention away from worldly distractions and toward divine communion. You might consider how such a practice softens the spirit, allowing patience and peace to grow even in long seasons of waiting. The temple, with its ancient stones and sacred rituals, provides the backdrop for Anna's unfolding story. It is a place where God's promises seem both distant and near, a sanctuary where the past and future converge. Here, your senses are drawn to the subtle details, the flickering light of oil lamps, the gentle echo of footsteps on worn stone, the faint scent of myrrh lingering in the air. These details invite you to step more fully into Anna's world, to feel the sacred stillness that shapes her life. A less commonly known insight about Anna is that her prophetic role likely involved more than just personal devotion. Some scholars suggest that prophetesses like Anna were considered living signs of God's presence, embodying hope in a time when Israel's future seemed uncertain. Her life of prayer and fasting becomes a silent prophecy itself, a testimony to the faithfulness that sustains through hardship. You might wonder how this form of prophecy compares with the more dramatic visions and declarations of male prophets in Scripture. Is there a special kind of power in quiet perseverance? As you reflect on Anna's life of prayer, you sense the gentle invitation she extends to all who listen, to cultivate a heart that is steady, patient, and open. Her example reminds you that faith is not always loud or immediate, but often grows in the quiet moments of trust. How might this peaceful waiting shape your own experience of hope? Can you find comfort in the slow unfolding of divine promises, even when the future feels uncertain? This chapter of Anna's story lingers softly, like a gentle breath. You carry forward the image of her calm, faithful presence in the temple, an enduring light in the stillness of a restless world. You step further into Anna's story, now entering the long years when she became a widow. This season of life, marked by loss and solitude, is one of the quietest yet most profound chapters in her journey. Imagine the temple courtyard as the backdrop of her steadfastness, where instead of retreating, she deepens her devotion. The scripture notes simply that she was a widow until she was 84, Luke 2 verses 36 to 37. Yet within these words lies a lifetime of patient endurance and gentle strength. You picture Anna, no longer a young woman, but one whose faith has matured into a steady flame that neither time nor hardship can extinguish. Widowhood in Anna's culture often meant marginalization and loneliness, but for her, it becomes a sacred calling. Instead of withdrawing from community, she immerses herself in the rhythm of temple life. She dedicates herself fully to worship, prayer, and fasting, practices that connect her deeply with God and the hopes of Israel. You might see her in the early mornings, wrapped in her cloak against the cool Jerusalem breeze, her voice blending softly with the morning prayers. This period of life reveals a form of prophetic witness not found in grand proclamations, but in the humble persistence of prayer. There is a profound spiritual rhythm in Anna's widowhood. Her years of solitude shape a ministry of waiting and watching, embodying the ancient hope for God's salvation. You might sense how this waiting is both a burden and a blessing, a quiet tension held tenderly in her heart. The temple becomes her sanctuary and her stage, a place where time slows and the sacred pulses softly beneath the surface. As you listen, You begin to feel the grace that flows through a life surrendered to faithful anticipation. A lesser-known biblical insight about Anna's widowhood is that such women often held a special place in Jewish religious life. Widows like Anna could dedicate themselves fully to spiritual service without the responsibilities of family care. This gave them a unique freedom to become prayerful intercessors for their communities, holding a sacred role as living bridges between the people and God. This challenges the common perception of widows in ancient times and invites reflection on the varied ways God uses faithful lives in different seasons. Scholars continue to discuss whether Anna's prophetic calling was shaped or even deepened by her widowhood. Did the quiet solitude bring new insight, or was it a refining fire that shaped her spirit? You might ponder how loss and waiting can sometimes awaken a deeper kind of spiritual sight, a vision born not from loud words, but from steadfast presence. How might this understanding invite you to see your own life's hardships in a new, gentler light? You may recall the peaceful rhythm of the temple prayers from earlier, now softened by the weight of years and the steady flame of Anna's devotion. Her story speaks to a kind of resilience that is often overlooked, a resilience rooted not in strength alone, but in grace and quiet endurance. This invites you to reflect on the sacredness found in life's quieter chapters and the power of unwavering faith when the world feels still. As the temple stones hold the footsteps of generations, so too does Anna's witness rest firmly within the long tradition of faithful waiting. Her life whispers to you that in seasons of loss, there is still a sacred purpose, and in silence, a prophetic voice can still be heard. You find yourself drawn into the rhythm of Anna's spiritual discipline, a life marked by fasting and vigilance that shapes her daily worship. Picture the temple grounds at dusk, where the fading sunlight casts long shadows over the stone walls, and the soft flicker of oil lamps begins to glow. Anna remains steadfast, holding her place through the quiet hours of the night. Her fasting is not merely a physical act, but a sacred practice, one that quiets the body so the spirit may rise in gentle communion with God. This disciplined devotion creates a rhythm of waiting and watching that anchors her soul. Fasting, in Anna's context, serves multiple purposes. It is a form of humility and surrender, a way to focus the heart and clear the mind. It also strengthens her prayers, adding depth and intention to her intercessions. As you imagine her fasting through days and nights, you sense how this practice is both demanding and deeply nourishing, a paradox that invites you to reflect on the way surrender can bring spiritual fullness. The temple's cool stone and sacred air become a sanctuary where her fasting and prayers meet, weaving a quiet tapestry of hope. Anna's vigil is a form of watchfulness that surpasses mere physical presence. It is a spiritual readiness, a gentle alertness to the movement of God's promise in the world. You might see her eyes softly scanning the temple, attentive to each sign and symbol, open to the subtle ways the divine might reveal itself. This watchfulness is not anxious but peaceful, rooted in trust rather than doubt. You can almost hear the soft cadence of her prayers blending with the temple's ancient melodies, a lullaby of hope for all who listen. A lesser-known detail about Anna's vigil is that it may have involved participation in special temple rites reserved for those dedicated to prophetic service. While the Gospels do not elaborate, some scholars suggest that prophetesses like Anna could have engaged in rituals that prepared them to receive and embody God's messages. This invites a deeper sense of the sacred space Anna inhabits, not just physically, but spiritually, where the lines between worship, prophecy, and waiting gently blur. Scholars also ponder how Anna's fasting and vigil shaped her readiness to recognize the Messiah when he finally appeared. Was this disciplined life a form of spiritual training, sharpening her senses to the sacred moment? Or was it a way to remain present and patient in a time of prolonged expectation? This question lingers softly, inviting you to consider how your own practices of stillness and attention prepare you for moments of grace. The temple, bathed now in the dim glow of night, seems to breathe with Anna's devotion. You feel the quiet pulse of sacred time, where each moment stretches gently toward fulfillment. Her fasting and vigil become a metaphor for spiritual endurance, the slow, steady flame that burns in the darkness, offering warmth and light to those who watch and wait with her. This chapter of Anna's story invites you into a space of calm vigilance, a peaceful attentiveness that holds the promise of God's coming near. You sense that in this quiet waiting, there is a profound trust, a faith that does not rush but rests in the certainty of divine timing. You step softly into the space where Anna becomes the silent watcher, a figure of serene patience within the temple's sacred walls. Imagine her standing quietly amid the soft murmur of worshippers, her gaze steady and filled with a quiet knowing. The temple is alive with rituals, the prayers, the sacrifices, the flickering lamps. But Anna's focus is on something beyond the present moment. She is waiting, not just for the daily ceremonies to unfold, but for the long-awaited Messiah, the promised Savior of Israel. Her watchfulness is gentle yet unwavering. In her quiet observation, Anna participates in the unfolding story of God's plan. The temple rituals are more than tradition. They are symbols pointing toward fulfillment. You might notice the subtle ways Anna's presence in the temple connects past prophecies with future hope. She is a living bridge, her faith a thread weaving through the generations, linking the ancient promises to the approaching dawn. As you listen, you become aware of the deep peace that fills her as she stands ready to recognize the sacred moment when it arrives. A lesser-known insight about Anna's watchfulness is that prophetesses in her time often had roles as spiritual sentinels. They were tasked with perceiving the movements of the divine in subtle, often quiet ways, through dreams, prayers, or a heightened sensitivity to sacred signs. Anna's vigil, therefore, is not passive waiting but an active spiritual attentiveness. You might wonder how this quiet form of prophecy contrasts with the more dramatic visions recorded by other prophets. Could it be that sometimes the most profound revelations come through stillness and patience? Scholars continue to discuss whether Anna had direct prophetic messages for the people or if her role was primarily one of testimony through faithful presence. This opens a gentle theological question. Can prophecy be lived as much in daily devotion and quiet witness as in spoken words? Anna's life suggests yes. Her silent watchfulness invites you to consider how your own attentiveness to the sacred might reveal truths without a single uttered word. The temple itself holds a profound symbolism in Anna's story. It is both a physical place and a spiritual reality, a space where heaven and earth meet, where the divine promises take shape through ritual and prayer. As you imagine Anna moving quietly through this sacred environment, you sense a holiness that fills every stone, every shadow. The temple is a living presence, and Anna is its faithful heart, beating with hope and patience. You may recall the gentle rhythms of her fasting and prayer from earlier, now deepened by this quiet waiting. Anna's watchfulness is a kind of restful readiness, a sacred patience that does not rush the unfolding of God's plan. It is an invitation to rest in the mystery of divine timing, trusting that all things come in their appointed hour. This moment in Anna's story lingers like a soft breath in the temple's cool air, inviting you to become a silent watcher in your own life, attentive, peaceful, and hopeful. You now find yourself alongside Anna as she meets Simeon, another devoted soul whose faith echoes hers in the temple's quiet corners. Picture the soft morning light spilling through the temple's open courtyards, casting gentle patterns on the stone floor. Here, two faithful watchers, each seasoned by years of prayer and waiting, cross paths, united by a shared hope for the fulfillment of God's promise. Simeon, like Anna, has been promised by the Spirit that he will not see death before he has seen the Messiah. Their companionship is a sacred stillness in a world brimming with expectation. The meeting of Anna and Simeon in the temple is not just a chance encounter, but a beautiful intertwining of faithful witnesses. As they wait, their lives become a quiet duet of hope and worship. Imagine their conversations, likely soft and reverent, full of prayerful anticipation. Though Scripture offers only glimpses of this relationship, it invites you to envision the comfort and strength they found in one another. Two souls patiently holding the promise of redemption in their hearts. This companionship reminds you of the deep power of shared faith in sustaining hope through long seasons of waiting. A lesser-known insight is that Anna and Simeon's joint presence at the temple highlights a rarely told story of spiritual partnership. Early Christian tradition honors both as examples of faithful endurance, yet their bond suggests that hope is often nurtured in community, even in solitude. Their silent companionship also invites reflection on how waiting for God's promises can be a shared journey, a communal act of worship and vigilance. You might wonder how such quiet partnerships shape the unfolding of sacred history. Scholars also discuss whether Anna and Simeon's prophetic roles complemented each other in unique ways. Simeon's prophecy is vocal and direct when he holds the infant Jesus, while Anna's prophecy is expressed through her continual prayer and witness. This contrast invites a gentle theological question. How do different expressions of faith and prophecy enrich the spiritual life of a community? Their story suggests that both words and silent presence have a vital place in God's unfolding plan. The temple, still glowing with the warmth of early day, frames their meeting as a holy moment, a sacred pause in time when heaven and earth seem to draw closer. You can almost hear the echo of ancient prayers around them, the soft rustling of scrolls, and the flicker of lamps. In this sacred setting, Anna and Simeon embody the patience and trust that come from living in the presence of divine promises. Remember Anna's steady prayers and fasting as you imagine this encounter. Their shared watchfulness becomes a peaceful chorus of faith, inviting you to consider the ways companionship supports your own journey of waiting and hope. Their story gently encourages you to find strength not only in solitude, but also in the quiet fellowship of kindred spirits. This meeting holds a quiet beauty, an invitation to rest in shared faith and gentle anticipation, trusting that the long-awaited light is drawing near. You are present now at the sacred moment when Anna encounters the infant Jesus during his presentation at the temple. The air is filled with quiet awe as Mary and Joseph bring their child forward to fulfill the ancient rites. You sense the soft rustle of garments and the gentle murmur of prayers blending with the warm light that spills through the temple's colonnades. Anna's eyes, trained by years of watchful waiting, recognize something profound in this small child, a fulfillment of the promise long anticipated by her heart and the hearts of all Israel. The presentation ceremony itself is steeped in rich tradition. It marks the child's dedication to God and the purification of Mary after childbirth, rituals that connect the family to their faith's roots. You can imagine Anna standing nearby, her presence both humble and powerful, a living testament to the hope sustained through generations. Her gaze lingers on Jesus, and in that moment, you feel a sacred stillness, a peaceful recognition that the long-awaited redemption has come. A lesser-known insight about this event is the role of the presentation as a public testimony, not just a private family rite. It symbolizes the intersection of personal faith with communal expectation. Anna's recognition of Jesus highlights the importance of faithful witnesses in revealing God's presence to the people. You might reflect on how such moments of quiet acknowledgement carry a weight far beyond what meets the eye, shaping the course of history through simple acts of faith. Scholars often debate the exact nature of Anna's prophetic insight at the presentation. Did she receive a sudden revelation, or was her recognition the culmination of decades of prayerful watchfulness? This opens a thoughtful question about how revelation unfolds, whether it arrives as a sudden burst of light or a gentle dawning known through patient faith. Anna's experience encourages you to be attentive to the subtle ways God's promises may appear in your own life, often softly and unexpectedly. The temple, alive with the murmur of prayers and the scent of burning incense, frames this sacred encounter as a moment suspended in time. You feel the weight of generations pressing gently on the scene, the hopes and prayers of a people gathered quietly in the presence of divine fulfillment. Anna's peaceful witness, grounded in years of faithful waiting, becomes a beacon of hope illuminating this holy day. Recall the patient watchfulness and fasting that prepared Anna for this moment, now blossoming into quiet joy and proclamation. Her story invites you to embrace the gentle unfolding of grace, reminding you that even the longest waits can end in moments of profound peace and fulfillment. This meeting at the temple is a tender invitation to trust in God's perfect timing and to recognize the sacred in the everyday. The peaceful atmosphere lingers as you imagine Anna's soft praise filling the temple, a song of welcome for the Messiah who has come at last. This moment is a gentle turning point, an embrace of hope realized, and you carry its calm light with you as you continue on this quiet journey. You feel the gentle warmth of the temple as Anna, having recognized the infant Jesus, begins to softly proclaim the arrival of the long-awaited Messiah. Her voice, though not loud, carries the weight of years of hope and prayer. Imagine her standing humbly amid the quiet crowd, her words flowing like a calm stream, offering praise, thanksgiving, and a peaceful declaration that God's promise is fulfilled. This moment of proclamation is less about spectacle and more about a tender invitation for all who hear to embrace hope and renewal. Anna's proclamation is a beacon of light in the temple, an affirmation that the waiting has ended and the salvation of Israel has drawn near. You might sense how her words weave through the sacred space, touching hearts and opening eyes to the presence of divine grace. Her gentle testimony invites everyone to pause and reflect, to allow the peaceful wonder of God's coming to settle deeply within. It is a quiet but profound act, a call to recognize the sacred in this humble child. A lesser-known aspect of Anna's proclamation is that it represents one of the few explicit moments in the Gospels where a woman publicly acknowledges Jesus as the Messiah. This highlights the significance of female voices in the unfolding story of salvation, often overlooked but deeply meaningful. You might consider how Anna's gentle praise challenges cultural expectations and reminds us that faith and witness transcend traditional boundaries. Her proclamation is a quiet revolution, a soft but firm declaration of truth. Scholars often explore the nature of Anna's message, whether it was spoken aloud for all to hear or expressed through heartfelt prayer and worship. This opens a contemplative question: how do different forms of proclamation, from spoken word to silent witness, shape the way we encounter and share faith? Anna's example suggests that all expressions of faithful testimony, whether quiet or vocal, contribute to the unfolding of God's kingdom. The temple, now alive with a renewed sense of hope, becomes a sacred space where heaven's promise touches earth. You might imagine the flickering flames of oil lamps casting gentle shadows as Anna's words mingle with the prayers of the people. Her peaceful proclamation invites you to listen deeply, to find in her calm confidence a resting place for your own hopes and longings. Remember Anna's steadfast prayers, her fasting, and her quiet watchfulness, now culminating in this moment of gentle praise. Her story encourages you to embrace the power of calm faith, to offer your own quiet witness in a world that often rushes by too quickly. Through Anna's example, you are invited to find peace in proclaiming hope, not with noise, but with the soft strength of a heart that trusts. This chapter of Anna's journey settles like a soft hymn in the temple's air, inviting you to rest in the gentle truth of God's coming and to carry that peaceful witness within you as you continue. You now reflect on the unique and revered role that Anna holds as a woman prophetess in biblical times, a role both rare and deeply respected. Picture her within the temple, standing quietly yet confidently, embodying a divine calling that transcends the ordinary. Women prophets like Anna were not common, yet their presence illuminated the spiritual life of Israel in subtle and profound ways. You sense a calm dignity about Anna, a steady light in a world where female voices often remained in the background. Her role invites you to consider the many ways God's Spirit moves beyond human expectations and boundaries. Anna's prophetic calling is rooted not in dramatic spectacle, but in faithful presence, through prayer, fasting, and quiet witness. She is a living symbol of hope and endurance, her life a soft declaration that prophecy is not confined to loud proclamations or grand visions. Instead, it can be found in the daily acts of devotion and patience. Imagine the respect she must have earned among the temple community, a figure whose spiritual insight was recognized and valued. Her example gently invites you to rethink the traditional roles of women in sacred history and to embrace the diverse ways God chooses to speak through all people. A lesser-known biblical insight reveals that women prophets like Anna were part of an ancient tradition reaching back to figures such as Miriam, Deborah, and Huldah. These women, each in their own time, bore witness to God's presence and guidance with quiet strength. Anna's story connects her to this lineage, reminding us that female voices have always been woven into the tapestry of divine revelation. You might reflect on how this lineage continues to inspire those who seek to serve with humility and courage today. Scholars still debate the scope of Anna's prophetic role, whether it included public preaching or was more focused on personal prayer and private revelation. This opens a thoughtful question. How do we define prophecy, and how might quiet, faithful witness be a form of prophetic ministry in itself? Anna's life suggests that prophecy can be both vocal and silent, public and intimate, each vital in its own way to the life of faith. The temple's sacred atmosphere frames Anna's prophetic role as a gentle but powerful force within the spiritual life of Israel. You might imagine the soft light of dawn illuminating her figure as she moves gracefully through the holy place, her heart tuned to the divine whisper beneath the temple's ancient stones. Her story encourages you to listen for the quiet voices of faith that call us to hope and perseverance, especially when the world seems silent or indifferent. Remember Anna's steadfast prayers, her fasting, and her peaceful watchfulness as you consider this rare and precious role she holds. Her example invites you to embrace the varied ways God's Spirit speaks in our lives today, sometimes loudly, sometimes softly, always with love and purpose. This moment in Anna's story lingers like a gentle song, calling you to honor the sacred strength found in quiet faith and faithful waiting. You now turn your attention to the lasting legacy of Anna in Scripture, a brief but deeply resonant story that has echoed through the centuries. Although she appears only in a few verses, her presence carries a weight that invites quiet reflection. Imagine how her steadfast faith, patient waiting, and peaceful proclamation have inspired generations of readers and believers. Anna's story is a small window into the larger narrative of God's faithfulness and the unexpected ways grace unfolds in humble lives. The Gospel of Luke offers us a delicate portrait of Anna, capturing the essence of a woman who embodies hope and endurance. Her brief mention might seem modest, yet it shines with profound significance. You might think of her as a gentle thread woven into the tapestry of salvation history, a thread connecting the prophecies of old with the unfolding reality of the Messiah's arrival. Anna's story quietly insists that even the smallest witnesses matter deeply in the grand story of faith. A lesser-known insight about Anna's legacy is how early Christian writers and artists have honored her as a symbol of faithful waiting and peaceful witness. Though not as prominent as other biblical figures, Anna appears in early iconography and liturgical traditions, reminding the faithful of the power of quiet devotion. This suggests that her impact reaches far beyond the brief text, touching the spiritual imagination of countless believers throughout history. You might ponder how such subtle legacies shape our understanding of holiness and service. Scholars continue to explore the theological implications of Anna's story, how her example challenges ideas about prophecy, gender roles, and the nature of faithful waiting. One open question is how Anna's peaceful witness complements the more dramatic prophetic voices in Scripture. What does her story teach us about the diverse ways God works in the world, often through lives lived in humble service and quiet hope? This invites you to embrace a broader vision of spiritual significance. The temple, still the sacred setting of Anna's story, remains a symbol of God's presence and the intersection of divine promise with human history. You might imagine how Anna's legacy continues to resonate in that holy place, echoing softly in the prayers of those who come to seek God's face. Her story encourages you to find meaning in your own acts of faith, knowing that every prayer and moment of waiting carries eternal significance. As you reflect on Anna's enduring legacy, you are gently reminded that faithfulness often looks like quiet perseverance, a soft flame burning steadily through the long nights of hope. Her story invites you to rest in that gentle light, trusting that your own journey, no matter how small it seems, is part of the greater story of grace and redemption. This moment in Anna's journey is a peaceful pause, a sacred space where the past and future meet, inviting you to carry forward the calm strength of her witness. You feel yourself drawn deeper into the significance of the temple as the sacred space that frames Anna's life and witness. Imagine the stone walls rising around you, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps and prayers, the air tinged with the soft fragrance of incense and ancient cedar. This is no ordinary place, but the very heart of Israel's spiritual life, a sanctuary where heaven and earth meet. For Anna, the temple is both refuge and altar, a place where her faith is nurtured and her vigil sustained. The temple's architecture and rituals provide a rich backdrop for understanding Anna's role. You might picture the outer courts bustling with worshippers, the inner sanctuary shrouded in mystery, and the golden lampstands casting a warm glow in the evening light. Each element of the temple, from the altar of burnt offerings to the sacred veil, carries symbolic weight, pointing toward God's presence and promise. Anna's life unfolds within this sacred geography, her prayers and fasting echoing through these hallowed halls. A lesser-known insight is how the temple's cyclical rhythms of sacrifice and worship mirror Anna's spiritual discipline. The daily sacrifices and festivals mark time not only in the calendar, but also in the heart of faithful worshippers. Anna's life of prayer and fasting aligns with this sacred tempo, a rhythm that connects individual devotion to the communal hope of Israel. You might consider how these cycles invite you to enter a spiritual rhythm in your own life, a pattern of waiting, praise, and renewal. Scholars still discuss the symbolic meaning of the temple in Luke's Gospel, especially in relation to figures like Anna and Simeon. The temple is portrayed not just as a physical location, but as a sign of God's ongoing presence and the unfolding of salvation history. This raises a gentle question. How do sacred spaces shape our experience of faith and expectation? Anna's story encourages you to see the temple not only as a backdrop, but as an active participant in the spiritual journey. The temple's atmosphere, the soft glow of lamps, the echo of prayers, the cool stone beneath your feet, invites you to slow down and listen. Here, in this sacred space, the mysteries of God seem closer, the promises more tangible. Anna's peaceful witness takes on new meaning as you imagine her immersed in this holy place, her heart attuned to the rhythms of divine presence. Remember Anna's steadfast faith and quiet devotion as you contemplate the temple's sacredness. Her story invites you to find your own sanctuary, whether in a physical place or a spiritual space, where you can wait patiently, pray deeply, and rest in the assurance of God's promises. This moment lingers like the soft fragrance of incense, a gentle invitation to dwell in the holy presence that Anna knew so well. You now enter a more profound reflection on the spirit of waiting and hope that carried Anna through years marked by exile and longing. Picture the backdrop of Israel's turbulent history, the shifting empires, the captivity, and the yearning for restoration that echoed through generations. In this vast silence of anticipation, Anna's life takes shape as a quiet beacon of hope, a patient heart tuned to the promise of God's salvation. You can almost feel the weight of centuries pressing softly upon her shoulders, yet she remains steadfast, her faith a gentle song amid the waiting. Anna's story unfolds during a time when Israel's identity was deeply connected to the hope of returning to God's favor and the coming of the Messiah. The temple, though rebuilt, carries the scars of past exile, reminding all who enter of both loss and promise. Imagine Anna standing within these walls, her prayers infused with the longing of a people waiting for renewal. Her life becomes a living symbol of the patient hope that sustained Israel through hardship, a faith that does not waver despite long silence. A lesser-known insight is how this hope is not passive resignation, but an active trust rooted in God's faithfulness. Anna's vigil and fasting embody a spiritual posture of readiness, a readiness to receive God's promise whenever it arrives. This invites you to reconsider waiting not as a burden, but as a sacred practice that shapes the soul's openness. You might ponder how this patient hope resonates in your own life's moments of uncertainty and longing. Scholars debate how the experience of exile and restoration influenced the theology of figures like Anna. Some suggest that her patient watchfulness reflects a deeper understanding of God's timing, one that transcends human urgency. This opens a gentle theological question. How does divine timing challenge our desire for immediate answers? Anna's example encourages you to embrace the mystery of waiting as a sacred space where faith deepens and trust grows. The temple, as the heart of Israel's worship, becomes a powerful symbol of this hope. You might sense its stones absorbing the prayers of countless generations, each whispering the same longing for peace and salvation. Anna's life echoes within this sacred place, a testament to the enduring power of faithful waiting. As you imagine her there, you are invited to rest in the quiet assurance that God's promises are sure, even when fulfillment seems distant. Remember the peaceful watchfulness and steady prayer that have defined Anna's journey. Her story is an invitation to hold hope gently, to carry it softly through the shadows of waiting, trusting that the dawn will come in its perfect time. This chapter of Anna's story fades softly like the first light of morning, offering you a calm space to embrace the sacred rhythm of hope. You settle into the deep rhythm of Anna's spiritual practice, a sacred pattern woven from vigilance and prayer that shapes her very being. Imagine the temple as a place where time seems to slow, each moment stretching gently like the soft unfolding of dawn. Anna's watchfulness is not merely physical but spiritual, a steady, attentive presence that listens closely to the subtle movements of the divine. Her prayers flow like a quiet river, steady and unceasing, carrying the hopes of her heart and the longings of her people. This spiritual vigilance is more than waiting. It is an active engagement with God's unfolding plan. Picture Anna in the temple's quiet corners, eyes softly lifted, senses attuned to the sacred whisper beneath the surface of daily rituals. She embodies a sacred readiness, a peaceful alertness that holds space for God's promises to take shape. As you listen, you begin to sense how such vigilance nurtures a deep inner peace, a calm assurance rooted in trust rather than anxiety. A lesser-known insight into this practice is how ancient Jewish spirituality understood vigilance as a form of holiness. The idea of watching was closely linked to prayer and fasting, creating a rhythm that prepared the soul for divine encounters. Anna's life exemplifies this sacred rhythm, a dance of expectation and surrender that invites you to consider how your own spiritual practices might cultivate similar readiness. You might reflect on what it means to be watchful not only in waiting, but in living each moment with presence. Scholars explore the connection between this vigilance and the prophetic tradition, suggesting that such spiritual alertness opens the way for revelation and transformation. This raises a gentle question. How might cultivating a practice of watchfulness invite new insights and deepen your relationship with God? Anna's example gently encourages you to embrace the sacred rhythm of attention as a doorway to grace. The temple, bathed in the soft glow of morning light, offers a sacred stage for Anna's vigil. You can almost hear the faint echo of prayers, the distant hum of chants, the flicker of lamps casting dancing shadows. In this holy space, Anna's calm presence becomes a beacon, drawing others into the peaceful anticipation she carries. Her story invites you to find stillness amid the noise, to cultivate a watchfulness that is both gentle and profound. Remember the steady flame of Anna's prayerful vigilance as you contemplate this sacred practice. Her life calls you to a deeper awareness, a peaceful readiness that waits without rush, listens without distraction, and trusts without doubt. This gentle discipline offers a path to spiritual calm and quiet hope. This chapter of Anna's journey closes like a whispered prayer, inviting you to rest in the stillness and prepare your heart for the moments of grace yet to come. You enter now the tender space where Anna's memory takes shape within the early Christian community, a legacy whispered quietly through generations of believers. Imagine the earliest followers of Jesus recalling her faithful witness, the prophetess who waited patiently and proclaimed peace in the temple's dawn. Though her story is brief in the Gospels, Anna's example resonates deeply, offering a model of gentle endurance and unwavering hope that early Christians cherished and celebrated in their prayers and teachings. In the unfolding story of the early church, Anna emerges as a symbol of faithful anticipation, a quiet presence who bridges the old covenant with the new promise. Her life embodies the virtues of patience and watchfulness, qualities essential for a community learning to live in the hope of Christ's return. You might imagine early believers speaking of Anna as a beloved figure, one whose calm faith inspired courage amidst uncertainty and persecution. Her legacy invites you to join a long line of witnesses who find strength in peaceful trust. A lesser-known insight is how Anna's role as a prophetess influenced early Christian understanding of women's place in ministry and spiritual leadership. Early texts and traditions acknowledge women like Anna as integral to the life of the faith, offering prophetic witness that complements apostolic teaching. This challenges later cultural limitations and invites you to reflect on the ways women's voices have always been part of the unfolding story of God's kingdom. You might consider how Anna's example speaks to your own role in bearing faithful witness. Scholars explore how Anna's remembrance in early Christian writings shaped the theological themes of hope, prophecy, and faithful waiting. Her story serves as a quiet reminder that God's promises often unfold in surprising ways, through lives marked not by fame, but by steadfast devotion. This leads to a gentle question. How does Anna's legacy encourage us to find meaning in the unseen and often unheralded acts of faith within our communities? Her example suggests that every faithful heart contributes to the life of the church. The temple, the place where Anna's story began, remains a powerful symbol for the early Christians of God's presence and promise fulfilled in Christ. You can almost hear the echoes of their prayers mingling with hers, a chorus of faithful voices spanning centuries. Anna's peaceful witness continues to invite you to trust in the slow, sure work of God's grace, to find hope in quiet perseverance, and to embrace the sacred rhythms of patient faith. Remember Anna's gentle endurance and her place in the living memory of the early church. Her story encourages you to walk your own path with quiet confidence, knowing that faithfulness is a gift that shapes the future, often in ways unseen but deeply felt. This moment in Anna's journey settles softly like a prayer passed down through time, a serene invitation to rest in the enduring power of faithful hope. You now come to the peaceful heart of Anna's story, a calm invitation to carry her example of gentle faith into your own time. Imagine her stillness in the temple, the soft light wrapping around her figure as she waits with unwavering trust. Her life is a quiet testimony that faith need not be loud or hurried to be powerful. In the stillness of her watch, you find an echo of your own longing for peace and assurance amid life's uncertainties. Anna's peaceful witness offers a gentle refuge, a place where hope is held tenderly, like a whispered prayer. Her story invites you to rest in the promise that God's timing is perfect, that waiting can be sacred, and that quiet faith shapes the world in ways often unseen. You may feel the soft pulse of her prayers surrounding you, a reminder that faithful devotion is a form of restful resistance against the chaos of life. In her example, there is an invitation to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to embrace the unfolding of grace with calm trust. A lesser-known reflection is that Anna's peaceful witness continues to inspire spiritual seekers who long for rest in a busy world. Her life encourages a rhythm of contemplation and attentive presence, inviting you to cultivate spaces of stillness where the divine may speak. This challenges modern notions of productivity and noise, suggesting that the sacred often dwells in silence and gentle waiting. You might wonder how embracing Anna's example could transform your own spiritual journey. Scholars reflect on how Anna's story resonates across time as a model of spiritual endurance and hope. Her life offers a counterpoint to the hurried, achievement-focused culture, reminding us that faith is often found in patient presence and humble trust. This leads to a comforting question. How might your own witness become a peaceful light for others in a world that often rushes past? Anna's story encourages you to embody faith as a quiet strength that gently shapes the hearts around you. As you imagine Anna's calm vigil, you feel a deep sense of peace settling over you. Her story is a soft beacon in the darkness, a reminder that even in waiting, you are not alone. The temple's sacred space fades gently into the background as her witness shines brightly, a light that invites you to rest, trust, and hope. This final moment with Anna's story is a tender whisper, an embrace of peace that carries you softly forward into your own journey of faith and calm reflection. You come now to the peaceful heart of Anna's story, a calm invitation to carry her example of gentle faith into your own life. Picture her standing quietly in the temple, bathed in soft morning light, her presence steady and serene. Anna's life is a quiet testimony that faith does not need to be loud or hurried to be meaningful. In her stillness, you find an echo of your own longing for peace and assurance amidst the uncertainties of life. Her peaceful witness offers a gentle refuge, a sacred place where hope is held tenderly, like a whispered prayer. Her story invites you to rest in the truth that God's timing is perfect, that waiting can be sacred, and that quiet faith shapes the world in ways often unseen. You might feel the soft pulse of her prayers surrounding you, a reminder that faithful devotion is a form of restful resistance against the rush of life. In Anna's example, there is an invitation to slow down, breathe deeply, and embrace grace unfolding with calm trust. A lesser-known reflection is that Anna's peaceful witness continues to inspire those who seek rest in a busy world. Her life encourages a rhythm of contemplation and attentive presence, inviting you to cultivate moments of stillness where the divine may quietly speak. This challenges modern ideals of constant productivity and noise, suggesting that the sacred often dwells in silence and patient waiting. You might wonder how embracing Anna's example could gently transform your own spiritual journey. Scholars note that Anna's story resonates across time as a model of spiritual endurance and hope. Her life offers a peaceful counterpoint to the hurried, achievement-driven culture, reminding us that faith is often found in patient presence and humble trust. This leads to a comforting question. How might your own witness become a quiet light for others in a world that often moves too fast? Anna's story encourages you to embody faith as a gentle strength that quietly shapes the hearts around you. As you imagine Anna's calm vigil, a deep sense of peace settles over you. Her story is a soft beacon in the darkness, a reminder that even in waiting, you are never alone. The temple's sacred space fades gently into the background as her witness shines brightly, a light inviting you to rest, trust, and hope. This moment with Anna's story closes like a tender whisper, an embrace of peace carrying you softly into your own journey of faith and reflection. You now move gently beyond the familiar story, entering a space of deeper reflection on the mystery surrounding Anna's quiet ministry. Though the Gospels offer only brief glimpses, her life invites you to imagine the many unseen moments where faith is nurtured in silence. Picture Anna moving softly through the temple's corridors, her prayers a steady undercurrent beneath the rituals of the day. This unseen ministry is a sacred presence that reminds you how God often works quietly through those who simply remain faithful. In considering Anna's ministry, you sense the power of constancy, a steady devotion that holds hope alive across years and seasons. Her life was not marked by dramatic events, but by persistent, gentle service that prepared hearts for the Messiah's arrival. Imagine the countless prayers she offered, the hours spent fasting and watching, each a thread woven into the fabric of redemption. This invites you to appreciate the quiet contributions that often go unnoticed but are deeply valued in God's kingdom. A lesser-known reflection is that Anna's ministry may have included informal teaching and encouragement within the temple community. Though Scripture does not elaborate, the role of prophetess is often extended to guiding others in faith and prayer. You might envision Anna as a spiritual mother, nurturing those around her with wisdom born of long experience and deep trust. This invites you to consider the many ways faithfulness can ripple outward, touching lives beyond what is immediately visible. Scholars ponder how such quiet ministries shape the spiritual landscape in ways that defy easy measurement. This raises a gentle question. How might your own everyday faithfulness serve as a sacred ministry, blessing others through simple presence and prayer? Anna's example encourages you to see value in the small, faithful acts that build the spiritual body quietly but powerfully. The temple's sacred atmosphere, filled with the scent of incense and the soft murmur of prayers, holds these unseen ministries in its embrace. You feel the sacred weight of this silent work, a testimony to the enduring power of faith lived in humble service. Anna's life invites you to rest in the assurance that your own faithful presence matters deeply, even when it goes unnoticed by the world. Remember the gentle constancy that defines Anna's ministry as you carry forward your own journey. Her story whispers a peaceful truth, that faithfulness is often found in quiet perseverance, and that God's work is beautifully woven through the lives of those who watch and wait with patient hearts. This moment lingers softly, a gentle invitation to embrace the sacred power of quiet service in your own life. You step now into the delicate space where Anna's faith intersects with the gentle rhythms of daily temple life, revealing a hidden tapestry of devotion woven from countless small acts. Imagine her presence amid the soft sounds of worship, the murmured prayers, the distant clatter of sacrifices, the flickering glow of oil lamps. Anna's quiet participation in this sacred flow reveals the depth of her commitment, a spiritual dance performed with humble grace and unshaken hope. Her life invites you to consider how holiness often dwells in the ordinary, in the steady repetition of faithful acts repeated day after day. Each moment Anna spends in prayer, fasting, or quiet contemplation contributes to a spiritual legacy far greater than any grand event. Picture the subtle ways her devotion touched the lives of those around her, encouraging, comforting, inspiring without fanfare. This encourages you to recognize your own small but significant contributions in the rhythms of your life. A lesser-known insight reveals that women like Anna were sometimes regarded as spiritual anchors within their communities, especially during times of hardship and uncertainty. Their constancy became a source of stability and hope, reminding others of God's enduring presence. This invites you to reflect on how your own faithful presence might serve as a quiet foundation for those who journey alongside you. Scholars discuss how the example of Anna challenges modern notions of success and influence, suggesting that true impact often lies in faithfulness rather than visibility. This opens a gentle question. How might you embrace the sacredness of everyday devotion, trusting that even the smallest acts are part of God's greater work? Anna's story encourages you to see your life as a vessel of grace, shaped by quiet perseverance. The temple's sacred atmosphere cradles these reflections, a timeless space where countless prayers have risen like incense. You feel the quiet strength of Anna's example surrounding you, inviting you to slow down and rest in the assurance that faithfulness endures beyond immediate recognition. Her life whispers a comforting truth that the sacred often blooms in silence and steady presence. Remember the humble power of Anna's devotion as you continue your own spiritual journey. Her story calls you to embody a faith that is patient, persistent, and profoundly peaceful. This moment closes softly, like the fading glow of a candle, leaving you wrapped in the warmth of enduring hope. You now find yourself drawn into the timeless dialogue between Anna's quiet faith and the unfolding story of God's redemption. Imagine the temple filled with the soft murmur of prayers as Anna's gaze rests upon the world with serene hope. Her life, though lived mostly in stillness, becomes part of a greater narrative, one that stretches from ancient promises through to the dawn of salvation. This connection invites you to see your own faith as part of a sacred story much larger than yourself. Anna's witness reminds you that faithfulness often grows in the hidden spaces, the silent prayers, the unseen sacrifices, the steadfast waiting that no one else may notice. Her story gently encourages you to embrace the mystery of God's timing, to trust in the slow, steady work of grace unfolding in your own life. You might envision her steady hands weaving threads of hope into the fabric of a waiting world, each act of devotion a quiet testimony to God's faithfulness. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's story subtly highlights the role of waiting as an active form of spiritual participation. Rather than passively enduring time, Anna's waiting is charged with purpose and expectation, a sacred vigil that prepares the way for new beginnings. You may reflect on how waiting with intention shapes your own journey, transforming moments of uncertainty into opportunities for growth and trust. Scholars continue to explore the theological richness of Anna's story, considering how it exemplifies the interplay between human patience and divine action. This opens a gentle question. How might your own experiences of waiting be reframed as meaningful acts of faith? Anna's example invites you to find peace in the tension between hope and patience, learning to rest fully in God's perfect timing. The temple, as a symbol of God's presence and promise, envelopes these reflections with a sacred hush. You feel the weight of countless generations who have waited and watched, their prayers mingling with Anna's in a chorus of hopeful longing. Her life calls you to join this sacred vigil, to stand quietly but steadfastly in faith. Remember Anna's serene hope as you carry your own journey forward. Her story is a gentle invitation to trust that your faithful waiting is never in vain, that it is a vital part of the unfolding story of grace and redemption. This moment lingers softly, a peaceful pause that invites you to rest deeply in the certainty of God's love. You now turn your attention to the gentle unfolding of Anna's faith as it quietly transforms the hearts of those around her. Imagine the temple alive with soft murmurs of prayer and whispered blessings, Anna's presence like a steady beacon in the calm. Though her story is brief in the scriptures, her impact ripples quietly through the lives she touched, offering comfort, encouragement, and a living example of peaceful devotion. You sense how her faith gently nurtured a community waiting in hope. Anna's life shows how faithfulness is often a slow, patient work, built in moments of solitude and small acts of prayer. You might picture her comforting others, sharing a knowing smile, or offering a word of encouragement drawn from years of watching and waiting. This quiet ministry is a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength is found not in grand gestures, but in steady presence and gentle care. Her story encourages you to appreciate the subtle ways your own faith can touch others. A lesser-known insight is that Anna may have served as a spiritual mentor or guide within the temple community, helping others to deepen their own prayers and hopes. Though the texts don't detail this role, the tradition of prophetesses often included nurturing the faith of others. You might reflect on how mentorship and quiet support contribute to the life of faith around you, building a legacy beyond words. Scholars discuss how Anna's example enriches our understanding of community and faith, not only as a gathering of voices, but as a web of faithful lives supporting one another in hope and patience. This raises a gentle question. How might your own steady faith become a source of strength and encouragement to those near you? Anna's story invites you to embody faithfulness that uplifts quietly but powerfully. The temple's sacred atmosphere, alive with prayer and hope, surrounds you now as you imagine the quiet influence of Anna's presence. You feel the warmth of a faith that is patient, enduring, and deeply rooted in love. Her story invites you to embrace the power of peaceful witness, knowing that your own faithful life contributes to the unfolding story of grace. Remember Anna's gentle ministry as you continue on your journey. Her story is a soft light, shining steadily through the quiet moments of life, guiding you toward calm hope and enduring peace. This moment closes like a quiet benediction, inviting you to rest fully in the peaceful strength of faithful love. You find yourself immersed in the sacred stillness surrounding Anna's final years, a time when her faith had deepened into a serene acceptance of God's will. Imagine her seated in the quiet temple courts, the soft glow of sunset bathing the stones in golden light. Her long vigil, marked by unwavering hope and gentle prayer, draws to a peaceful close as she rests in the certainty of God's promises fulfilled in Christ. This serene ending invites you to reflect on the fullness of a life lived in calm faith. Anna's final years exemplify the quiet power of perseverance, a patient endurance that carries the soul through seasons of waiting into the light of fulfillment. You might see her hands folded in prayer, her eyes lifted in peaceful contemplation, embodying the grace that comes from trusting God's perfect timing. Her story encourages you to embrace the present moment with gratitude, finding peace in the steady unfolding of divine purpose. A lesser-known reflection is that Anna's peaceful closure is a model for spiritual rest, a reminder that faith culminates not in frantic striving, but in gentle surrender. This invites you to consider how your own journey might move towards such restful trust, releasing burdens and embracing the calm assurance of God's love. You might ponder how this sacred rest nurtures deeper faith and quiet joy. Scholars explore the theme of spiritual fulfillment in Anna's story, highlighting how her life symbolizes the harmony between hope and realization. This raises a gentle question. How can embracing spiritual rest enrich your faith and deepen your sense of peace? Anna's example calls you to enter into this sacred rhythm, where waiting gives way to serene trust. The temple, still echoing with the prayers of generations, cradles this peaceful conclusion. You feel the quiet strength of a life fully offered, a soul resting softly in the arms of divine grace. Anna's story draws to a close not with a rush, but with a whisper, a gentle benediction that lingers warmly in the heart. Remember the calm faith that defines Anna's final days as you carry forward your own journey. Her story is a tender reminder that peace is found in patient trust and quiet surrender. This moment fades softly like the last light of day, inviting you to rest deeply in the enduring embrace of faith. You are now gently invited to explore the broader spiritual landscape surrounding Anna's life, a world shaped by hope, exile, and the promise of restoration. Picture the Jerusalem temple not just as a building, but as the heart of a people yearning for God's renewal. Anna's steadfast faith exists within this context, a faith that carries the weight of national longing alongside personal devotion. This perspective deepens your understanding of her patient watchfulness, anchoring it in the larger story of Israel's hope. Anna's story unfolds against the backdrop of exile's shadows and the stirring of new beginnings. Imagine the prayers of generations echoing through the temple courts, each voice lifted in longing for God's presence to return fully. Anna becomes a living symbol of this collective hope, a single light shining steadily in a time of uncertainty. Her quiet devotion reflects the faith of a people who trust that restoration is not only possible, but imminent. A lesser-known insight is that the practice of fasting and prayer, central to Anna's life, was often a communal expression of repentance and yearning for God's mercy during times of hardship. This invites you to see Anna's fasting not only as personal discipline, but as participation in a shared spiritual journey. You might reflect on how your own prayers connect you to a broader community of faith across time and place. Scholars consider how Anna's presence in Luke's Gospel highlights the theme of fulfillment, God's promises realized through faithful waiting. This raises a gentle question. How does embracing the tension between exile and restoration shape your own experience of hope? Anna's example encourages you to hold faith tenderly amid life's uncertainties, trusting that renewal comes in God's perfect time. The temple, radiant with history and sacred expectation, holds these reflections close. You sense the layers of hope built into its very stones, a testament to God's enduring covenant with his people. Anna's life becomes a quiet meditation on the power of faithful waiting within a community bound by shared longing. Remember the sacred rhythms that sustained Anna: prayer, fasting, and watchful hope as you move forward. Her story invites you to embrace your own place in the ongoing story of faith, a story written in patience and quiet trust. This moment rests softly, a peaceful pause inviting you to find calm in the sacred journey of hope. You now settle into the tender rhythm of Anna's spiritual vigilance, a practice that shapes her every breath and heartbeat. Imagine the temple's serene corridors, where soft shadows play across ancient stones as she stands in quiet attentiveness. Her watchfulness is a sacred dance between presence and expectation, a prayerful readiness that fills the air with peaceful anticipation. This rhythm invites you to slow down and tune your senses to the subtle movement of grace around you. Anna's vigilance is an active, loving waiting, a gentle openness to whatever God may reveal. You might see her eyes softly scanning the temple, her spirit alert yet calm, embodying the delicate balance between hope and surrender. This sacred attentiveness invites you to consider how your own moments of watchfulness, whether in prayer, meditation, or simply being present, connect you to the divine flow of life. Her example suggests that spiritual vigilance is not burden but blessing. A lesser-known insight reveals that ancient Jewish spirituality valued vigilance as a key to holiness, linking it closely with prayer and fasting. Anna's life exemplifies this triad, showing how such practices prepare the heart for revelation and transformation. You might reflect on how cultivating your own rhythm of vigilance can deepen your awareness of God's presence in everyday life. Scholars discuss how Anna's watchfulness anticipates the arrival of the Messiah not only as a historical event, but as a continuing spiritual reality. This raises a gentle question. How might your own practice of watchfulness prepare you to recognize the sacred moments unfolding in your life? Anna's story encourages you to embrace a posture of gentle readiness that opens you to grace at any moment. The temple, bathed in the soft glow of dawn, becomes a living symbol of this sacred rhythm. You feel the peaceful pulse of Anna's vigil as a steady light within the quiet spaces, inviting you to join in this eternal dance of hope and presence. Her story gently calls you to slow down, listen deeply, and rest in the loving watchfulness of God. Remember the sacred rhythm of Anna's vigilance as you carry your own journey forward. Her life whispers a calm invitation to stand gently awake, to hold space for the unfolding mystery, and to trust in the quiet power of faithful waiting. This moment closes softly, like the gentle hush before dawn, leaving you wrapped in the peaceful embrace of watchful hope. You now glimpse the tender bond between Anna and the newborn Jesus as their paths converge within the temple's sacred precincts. Imagine the soft murmur of prayers blending with the rustling of garments and the flickering glow of oil lamps. Anna's heart, seasoned by years of faithful waiting, recognizes in this child the fulfillment of the ancient promises whispered through generations. The peaceful awe she feels becomes a gentle proclamation of hope, a soft affirmation that God's salvation has begun to unfold. The presentation of Jesus is not only a ritual of dedication, but a moment laden with profound spiritual significance. You might picture Mary and Joseph, reverent and hopeful, bringing their infant to the temple as Anna and Simeon watch with attentive hearts. This convergence of faithful watchers and the Messiah invites you to sense the sacred intersection of past hopes and present fulfillment. Anna's recognition is a quiet, yet powerful testimony that invites all who hear to embrace the unfolding grace. A lesser-known insight is that the presentation ceremony also fulfilled the law of purification, connecting the child's arrival with themes of renewal and sanctity. Anna's role in this moment highlights how faithful witnesses serve as bridges between law, prophecy, and fulfillment. You might reflect on how moments of sacred dedication in your own life invite a deeper sense of connection with God's unfolding plan. Scholars explore how Anna's encounter with Jesus embodies the theme of recognition, seeing God's work clearly amidst the ordinary. This raises a gentle question. How do moments of quiet insight deepen your awareness of God's presence in daily life? Anna's story encourages you to cultivate a heart that notices the sacred even in the simplest of moments. The temple's sacred atmosphere wraps around this scene like a soft veil, its ancient stones bearing silent witness to the divine encounter. You feel the gentle pulse of hope and fulfillment flowing through the space, inviting you to rest in the peaceful certainty of God's promises kept. Anna's story becomes a quiet call to trust that the sacred often reveals itself gently, in ways both subtle and profound. Remember Anna's calm witness at the temple as you move forward. Her example invites you to hold faith tenderly, to watch quietly, and to receive with open heart the unfolding story of grace. This moment lingers softly, a gentle breath in the sacred rhythm of faithful waiting and joyful recognition. You now sense the sacred invitation that Anna's story extends, a call to embrace the gentle power of peaceful witness in a world often hurried and loud. Imagine the temple's quiet sanctuary, where Anna's calm presence becomes a refuge for hope and trust. Her life whispers a profound truth, that faithfulness expressed softly, without fanfare, can shape the course of history and transform hearts. This gentle influence invites you to consider the ways your own quiet acts of faith carry deep spiritual significance. Anna's peaceful witness challenges the notion that greatness must be marked by spectacle or noise. Instead, she shows that steadfastness, humility, and patient devotion are powerful forces in God's kingdom. You might picture her steady prayers weaving a tapestry of hope that enfolds the community, touching lives through the simple consistency of faithful presence. Her example encourages you to value your own small acts of kindness and prayer as part of a larger divine story. A lesser-known insight is how Anna's role as a prophetess reflects a broader biblical theme, that God often chooses unexpected vessels to reveal his purposes. Her story invites you to embrace the humility of being a quiet servant in God's plan, knowing that even the smallest light shines brightly in darkness. You may wonder how embracing this gentle role could deepen your sense of purpose and peace. Scholars discuss the significance of Anna's peaceful proclamation as a model for contemplative spirituality, a faith lived in stillness and attentive waiting. This raises a reflective question. How might cultivating a spirit of peaceful witness enrich your relationship with God and others? Anna's life invites you to find strength in stillness and to trust that your faithful presence is a beacon of hope. The temple, with its soft shadows and flickering lamps, becomes a sacred symbol of this peaceful ministry. You feel the warmth of Anna's quiet faith surrounding you, inviting you to rest in the assurance that gentle witness is a powerful testimony to God's love. Her story encourages you to slow down, listen deeply, and live with a heart attuned to grace. Remember the calm strength of Anna's witness as you continue your journey. Her life offers a soft but steady light, guiding you toward peace, hope, and enduring faith. This moment closes like a whispered prayer, leaving you wrapped in the comforting embrace of quiet faith. You now enter the sacred hush of Anna's life, where years of devoted waiting have prepared her for a moment of quiet revelation. Imagine her stillness within the temple, the gentle flicker of lamps casting soft shadows on ancient walls. In this space of sacred expectation, Anna's heart remains open and receptive, a peaceful vessel awaiting the unfolding of God's promise. Her story invites you to embrace the power of patient faith and to trust in the gentle rhythms of divine timing. Anna's journey is a testament to the strength found in steadfastness. You might picture her prayers rising like incense, weaving through the temple air as a silent song of hope. Her faith is not marked by sudden epiphanies, but by a calm, enduring trust that sustains her through long seasons of waiting. This steady devotion encourages you to find grace in your own moments of anticipation and to rest in the knowledge that God's promises are sure. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's presence at the temple during Jesus' presentation connects her to a lineage of faithful women whose lives quietly shaped salvation history. Though often overlooked, these women carried the light of hope through generations, nurturing faith in the shadows. You may reflect on how your own quiet faithfulness contributes to a greater story, a sacred heritage of trust and love. Scholars explore how Anna's example embodies the paradox of waiting, both active and receptive, patient yet expectant. This raises a gentle question. How can you cultivate a balance between hopeful anticipation and peaceful acceptance in your own spiritual life? Anna's story encourages you to embrace the mystery of waiting as a sacred space where faith deepens and grace unfolds. The temple, bathed in soft light and filled with the echo of prayers, stands as a symbol of this sacred waiting. You feel the calm presence of Anna's faithful heart inviting you to join in this eternal vigil, a dance of hope and trust that transcends time. Her story offers a gentle invitation to rest fully in God's loving care, knowing that all things come in their perfect time. Remember the quiet strength that defines Anna's faith as you carry forward your own journey. Her life is a soft beacon, guiding you through the stillness toward the light of fulfilled promises. This moment closes softly, like a gentle breath, leaving you wrapped in the peaceful embrace of patient hope. You now move into the sacred quiet where Anna's faithful heart quietly echoes through the corridors of time. Picture the temple glowing with the soft flicker of candles as her prayers weave an unseen thread through the fabric of history. Her life, though small in the grand narrative, is a luminous thread that connects ancient promises to the unfolding dawn of salvation. This invites you to reflect on how your own faith, even when hidden, contributes to the eternal story of God's love. Anna's gentle devotion teaches you the profound impact of steadfastness. You might imagine her silent prayers rising like a fragrant offering, each one carrying hope for the coming of God's kingdom. Her patient watchfulness is a powerful reminder that faith is nurtured not only in moments of great revelation, but in the quiet persistence of daily trust. This challenges you to see the sacred in the ordinary and to honor the small acts of devotion that sustain your soul. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's role as a prophetess was part of a broader tradition of women who served as spiritual pillars within their communities. Though often overlooked, these women embodied the strength and resilience necessary for sustaining hope during difficult times. You might consider how your own quiet faithfulness serves as a foundation for others, strengthening the community in ways both seen and unseen. Scholars continue to explore how Anna's story enriches our understanding of spiritual endurance. This invites a gentle question. How might your own faithfulness, though quiet, be a vital thread in the tapestry of God's work? Anna's life encourages you to trust that every act of faithful waiting has meaning and power beyond what you can see. The temple's sacred atmosphere envelopes you now, filled with the gentle echo of prayers past and present. You feel the warmth of Anna's enduring witness, a quiet flame that invites you to rest in the calm assurance of God's love. Her story calls you to slow down, listen deeply, and carry the peaceful strength of faithful hope wherever you go. Remember the enduring light of Anna's quiet faith as you continue on your path. Her story is a soft song, guiding you toward peace, patience, and trust. This moment closes gently, like a whisper carried on a breeze, leaving you wrapped in the soothing embrace of calm faith. You now enter the quiet depths of Anna's heart, a place where faith and hope intertwine like the soft light filtering through the temple's ancient windows. Imagine her standing in stillness, her eyes lifted in gentle prayer as the world around her continues in sacred rhythm. This stillness is a sacred space where time slows, inviting you to rest deeply in the peace that comes from unwavering trust in God's promises. Anna's story here is a tender invitation to embrace the calm assurance that faith can bring, even amid uncertainty. Her life exemplifies the quiet strength found in patience. You might envision the steady cadence of her prayers, each one a small but powerful act of faith woven into the fabric of a waiting world. Anna's watchfulness is a beacon of hope, shining softly in the darkness, reminding you that the greatest power often resides in the gentlest presence. This encourages you to cultivate your own inner stillness, trusting that peace grows in the spaces between action and waiting. A lesser-known insight reveals that Anna's long vigil was a form of spiritual preparation, shaping her heart to recognize the Messiah when he came. This invites you to consider how your own practices, prayer, fasting, meditation, prepare you to receive moments of grace and insight. You may reflect on how the discipline of waiting can open your heart to new depths of understanding and connection. Scholars often highlight the paradox in Anna's story, that active waiting is itself a form of faithful action. This raises a gentle question. How might embracing the sacred discipline of waiting enrich your spiritual journey? Anna's example encourages you to see waiting not as empty time, but as fertile ground for growth and transformation. The temple's tranquil atmosphere cradles this sacred moment, its stones imbued with centuries of prayer and hope. You feel the comforting presence of Anna's faithful heart inviting you to slow down, breathe deeply, and rest in the loving watchfulness of God. Her story offers a gentle reminder that in the quiet spaces of waiting, God's presence is closest. Remember the peaceful patience that defines Anna's faith as you move forward. Her life is a soft light guiding you toward calm trust and enduring hope. This moment fades softly, like the last glow of twilight, leaving you wrapped in the gentle embrace of quiet faith. You now find yourself enveloped in the gentle quiet of Anna's steadfast devotion, a living prayer woven through the fabric of temple worship. Imagine the soft flicker of lamps casting warm light across ancient stones, the air filled with the subtle scent of incense rising like whispered hopes. Anna's faith is a steady flame amid the shifting shadows of history, a quiet presence that embodies patient trust. Her story invites you to rest in the comfort of faithful endurance, knowing that steadfastness is a sacred strength. Her life is a testament to the enduring power of hope sustained over time. Picture her prayers as gentle waves, rising and falling in rhythm with the sacred rituals around her. Each moment of her vigil contributes to a sacred chorus of longing, a persistent call for God's promise to be fulfilled. This reminds you that faith is not measured by grand gestures, but by the quiet consistency of daily devotion. Anna's example encourages you to find grace in your own steady commitment. A lesser-known insight reveals that Anna's role extended beyond personal devotion to encompass intercession for her community. Though Scripture gives only a brief glimpse, prophetesses often acted as spiritual advocates, lifting the needs of others before God. You might reflect on how your own prayers and acts of faith serve as powerful intercessions within your circles of influence, sustaining hope and healing. Scholars explore how Anna's story enriches the theme of communal faithfulness, highlighting the interconnectedness of personal devotion and collective hope. This raises a gentle question: how might your faithful presence nurture and uplift the spiritual life of your community? Anna's life invites you to see your faith as a vital thread in the fabric of shared spiritual journeys. The temple's sacred silence cradles these reflections, a timeless space where countless prayers have risen like incense. You feel the warmth of Anna's enduring faith surrounding you, a quiet light guiding you toward patience and trust. Her story gently calls you to slow down, listen deeply, and embrace the peaceful power of faithful waiting. Remember the calm strength of Anna's devotion as you continue your path. Her life is a soft song, leading you into a deeper experience of grace and hope. This moment closes softly, like a gentle sigh, leaving you wrapped in the comforting embrace of quiet faith. You now come to a stiller place in Anna's journey, a sacred space where the quiet power of faithful waiting shines like a steady light in the darkness. Imagine the temple bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, the air rich with the scent of frankincense and myrrh. Anna's presence is a calm anchor amid the ebb and flow of worshippers, her heart rooted deeply in trust. This moment invites you to rest fully in the assurance that patient faith is a sacred offering, one that shapes the unfolding of God's promises. Anna's life exemplifies the grace found in surrendering to divine timing. You might picture her silent prayers weaving a gentle tapestry of hope, each thread strengthening her soul and those around her. Her watchful waiting is a peaceful resistance to the rush and noise of the world, a tender invitation to embrace the sacred rhythm of stillness. This encourages you to cultivate your own moments of quiet faith, trusting that in them, God's presence grows stronger. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's enduring faith likely served as a beacon for others within the temple community, inspiring hope through her steady example. Though her story is brief, her influence ripples quietly through those who witnessed her devotion. You might reflect on how your own faithfulness, even when unseen, blesses the lives of others and builds the spiritual body of the community. Scholars discuss how Anna's story highlights the paradox of waiting, that in stillness, powerful transformation occurs. This raises a gentle question: how can embracing moments of quiet waiting deepen your connection to God and others? Anna's example invites you to find strength and peace in the sacred pauses of life. The temple, ancient and alive with prayer, holds this sacred moment close. You feel the warmth of Anna's faithful heart surrounding you, a soft light guiding you toward calm hope and enduring trust. Her story encourages you to slow down, breathe deeply, and rest in the gentle power of patient faith. Remember the peaceful resilience that defines Anna's witness as you continue your journey. Her life is a quiet song, leading you gently into the embrace of grace and hope. This moment fades softly, like the gentle closing of a prayer, leaving you wrapped in the soothing embrace of quiet faith. You step now into the intimate details of Anna's daily life within the temple's sacred precincts, a life marked by a steady rhythm of devotion and quiet service. Imagine the soft sound of her footsteps echoing through the cool stone halls as she moves with purpose and reverence. Each day, her prayers rise like gentle incense, blending with the voices of other worshippers and the timeless chants of the Levites. Anna's life becomes a melody of faithful presence, an enduring song that invites you to find your own place within the sacred rhythms of faith. Her daily routine is a testament to the power of consistency. You might picture her rising early, wrapping herself in simple robes and stepping into the temple's quiet spaces before dawn. The hours unfold with prayer, fasting, and watchful waiting, a pattern that sustains her through years of anticipation. This steady devotion reminds you that faith is often built in small, repeated acts, each one a seed planted in fertile soil. Anna's story encourages you to cultivate your own habits of spiritual attentiveness. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's continuous presence in the temple likely made her a beloved figure among the community, one whose quiet counsel and example brought comfort and inspiration. Though her story is brief, the impact of such faithful service echoes beyond what is recorded. You might reflect on how your own consistent acts of kindness and prayer influence those around you in profound ways. Scholars note how Anna's life exemplifies the intimate connection between worship and waiting, suggesting that devotion itself is a form of prophetic witness. This raises a gentle question. How might your daily spiritual practices prepare you to recognize moments of grace and transformation? Anna's example invites you to embrace faith as a living rhythm, nurtured in the ordinary as well as the extraordinary. The temple's sacred atmosphere wraps around this moment like a warm embrace. You feel the calm strength of Anna's faithful presence surrounding you, a soft light guiding you towards steady hope and patient trust. Her story calls you to slow down, listen deeply, and find peace in the ongoing dance of faithful waiting. Remember the enduring melody of Anna's daily devotion as you continue your own journey. Her life is a gentle song, inviting you into the quiet beauty of faithful living. This moment closes softly, like the fading notes of a hymn, leaving you wrapped in the peaceful embrace of steady faith. You now find yourself drawn into the quieter, lesser-seen moments of Anna's witness, those pauses between prayers and rituals where the sacred lingers most deeply. Imagine her seated in a shadowed corner of the temple, hands folded softly, eyes closed in gentle contemplation. The stillness around her is thick with the weight of waiting, a calm surrender to the unfolding of God's plan. This quiet space invites you to rest in the mystery of faith lived in silence, where trust is nurtured beyond words or actions. Anna's life teaches that sometimes the most powerful ministry is found in presence rather than proclamation. You might envision the ripple effect of her silent prayers, threads of hope woven invisibly into the lives of others and into the very fabric of the community. Her patient watching becomes a testament to the enduring power of faithfulness, even when unseen and unheard. This encourages you to honor your own quiet moments of spiritual openness. A lesser-known insight is that such contemplative waiting was often seen as a prophetic act in itself, a way of holding space for God's voice amid the noise of the world. Anna's stillness becomes a form of sacred attentiveness, inviting you to consider how your own silent faith might prepare the way for new revelations and blessings. You might reflect on how embracing silence and solitude deepens your connection with the divine. Scholars discuss how Anna's example broadens our understanding of prophecy to include not only words, but also waiting and presence. This raises a gentle question. How might your own quiet faithfulness serve as a beacon of hope and preparation for others? Anna's story gently encourages you to find strength in the sacred art of patient listening. The temple's ancient stones seem to hold the breath of these silent prayers, a timeless witness to the power of faithful waiting. You feel the gentle embrace of Anna's enduring witness surrounding you, inviting you to slow down, breathe deeply, and rest in the peaceful rhythms of God's timing. Remember the quiet power of Anna's silent watchfulness as you move forward. Her life is a soft invitation to embrace stillness and trust in the unfolding grace of God. This moment fades gently, like the hush after a whispered prayer, leaving you wrapped in the comforting embrace of faithful hope. You now enter the tender space where Anna's story unfolds into a deeper mystery, a sacred interplay of light and shadow, faith and waiting. Picture her silhouette framed by the soft glow of dawn, the temple's stones cool beneath her feet. This quiet hour holds a sacred stillness, a pause between what has been and what is yet to come. Anna's presence here invites you to dwell in the sacred tension of anticipation, where hope is both fragile and fierce. Her life is marked by this gentle paradox, waiting that is active, hope that is patient, faith that is unwavering despite uncertainty. You might imagine her prayers as a steady heartbeat beneath the temple's ancient rhythms, each pulse a reminder that God's promises are alive even when hidden from view. This invites you to hold your own uncertainties with gentle trust, finding peace in the sacred in-between. A lesser-known insight reveals that Anna's watchfulness may have included moments of silent intercession for her people, a spiritual act that carries profound power. Though her voice was often quiet, her prayers moved heaven and earth in ways unseen. You might reflect on the unseen spiritual battles fought in moments of quiet faithfulness, and how your own prayers contribute to this sacred work. Scholars explore the theme of sacred waiting in Anna's story, seeing it as a model for spiritual perseverance. This raises a gentle question. How can embracing the mystery of waiting deepen your relationship with God? Anna's example encourages you to find grace in the unknown, trusting that every moment of patience is a seed sown in fertile soil. The temple, bathed in the soft light of morning, becomes a sanctuary for these reflections. You feel the gentle strength of Anna's enduring hope surrounding you, a quiet flame that invites you to rest in the calm assurance of divine faithfulness. Her story whispers a peaceful promise that in waiting, you are held and loved. Remember the sacred tension of Anna's watchful heart as you continue your journey. Her life is a soft beacon, guiding you toward peace, trust, and quiet joy. This moment closes gently, like the slow unfolding of dawn, leaving you wrapped in the soothing embrace of faithful hope. You now find yourself wrapped in the quiet embrace of Anna's enduring faith, a gentle presence that radiates calm through the temple's sacred halls. Imagine the soft flicker of oil lamps casting warm shadows as Anna moves with a grace born of years spent in prayerful waiting. Her steady devotion becomes a quiet melody woven into the fabric of sacred time, a song of hope that invites you to join in its peaceful rhythm. Her life reveals the profound power of consistency. Picture Anna rising early, her footsteps soft upon the worn stone floors, her prayers steady and unhurried. Each day adds a note to her unbroken song of faith, a testament to the strength found in faithful perseverance. This steady rhythm encourages you to embrace your own practices of devotion, finding grace in the simple, repeated acts that nurture your spirit. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's faithful presence likely provided a pillar of spiritual support for others within the temple community. Though Scripture offers few details, the role of such devoted individuals is crucial in sustaining communal hope and worship. You might consider how your own steady faithfulness serves as an unseen foundation for those around you, a source of encouragement and strength. Scholars note that Anna's story highlights the interconnectedness of individual devotion and communal faith. This raises a gentle question. How might your daily acts of faith contribute to the spiritual life of your community? Anna's example invites you to see your faithfulness as a vital thread in the larger tapestry of shared hope and trust. The temple's sacred atmosphere envelopes this moment, filled with the soft echoes of prayers past and present. You feel the warmth of Anna's enduring witness surrounding you, a beacon of calm and steadfast hope. Her story gently calls you to slow down, listen deeply, and find peace in the ongoing dance of faithful waiting. Remember the gentle strength of Anna's steady devotion as you continue your journey. Her life is a quiet song, inviting you into the peaceful beauty of faithful living. This moment closes softly, like the fading notes of a hymn, leaving you wrapped in the peaceful embrace of steady faith. You are gently invited now to explore the quiet influence of Anna's presence beyond the temple walls, extending into the lives of those she touched. Imagine her calm demeanor, the gentle strength that radiates from years of faithful waiting and prayer. Though her story is brief in Scripture, its impact spreads quietly, a soft light illuminating the hearts of those around her. Her faith becomes a quiet force, nurturing hope and courage in a world longing for peace. Anna's life reminds you that true spiritual influence often flows through humble, consistent acts. Picture her offering a kind word to a weary traveler or sharing a silent prayer for a troubled soul. These moments, small and often unseen, weave together a powerful testimony of faithfulness. Her example encourages you to recognize the subtle ways your own life can inspire and uplift others through quiet witness. A lesser-known insight is that prophetesses like Anna played vital roles as spiritual counselors and mentors within their communities, guiding others with wisdom born of deep experience. Though the Gospels do not elaborate, early Christian traditions honor such women as pillars of faith. You might reflect on how your own acts of guidance and support contribute to the spiritual health of your community. Scholars explore how Anna's quiet ministry challenges modern ideas of leadership, highlighting the strength found in gentle, steadfast service. This raises a gentle question. How can your own faithful presence serve as a source of encouragement and hope for those around you? Anna's story invites you to embrace the power of humble, loving service as a sacred vocation. The temple's sacred atmosphere seems to extend beyond its walls, embracing this moment of reflection. You feel the peaceful warmth of Anna's enduring faith surrounding you, a soft light guiding you toward compassionate witness. Her story calls you to live with a heart attuned to the needs of others, offering steady support through gentle presence. Remember the quiet strength of Anna's influence as you continue your journey. Her life is a soft beacon, leading you toward calm hope and enduring faith. This moment closes gently, like a whispered blessing, leaving you wrapped in the comforting embrace of faithful love. You now enter the sacred stillness of Anna's life, where the gentle rhythms of prayer and fasting form a quiet sanctuary within the temple's ancient walls. Imagine her sitting peacefully, the soft glow of oil lamps casting flickering shadows, as she weaves her petitions into the tapestry of worship. Her devotion is steady and unhurried, a quiet flame that warms the hearts of all who come near. This space invites you to slow your breath and enter into the peaceful cadence of faithful waiting. Anna's life embodies the sacred rhythm of discipline and surrender. You might picture her embracing the discipline of fasting not as a hardship, but as a spiritual practice that deepens her connection with God. Her prayers, strengthened by this discipline, flow with sincerity and hope. This gentle balance encourages you to consider how your own spiritual practices might nourish your soul and prepare you for the unfolding of grace. A lesser-known insight is that fasting in Anna's time was often communal as well as personal, a shared expression of repentance and longing for God's mercy. Though Scripture highlights her individual fasting, it connects her to a broader tradition of collective spiritual renewal. You might reflect on how your own fasting or spiritual disciplines connect you to a wider community of faith and hope. Scholars explore the interplay between fasting and prayer in Anna's story as a model of holistic spiritual preparation. This raises a gentle question. How might integrating disciplines of body and spirit deepen your awareness of God's presence? Anna's example invites you to embrace practices that cultivate both physical and spiritual attentiveness. The temple's sacred atmosphere cradles this moment, filled with the soft murmur of prayers and the scent of burning incense. You feel the steady strength of Anna's faithful heart surrounding you, a gentle beacon guiding you toward peace and spiritual readiness. Her story calls you to slow down, breathe deeply, and rest in the nurturing rhythm of faithful devotion. Remember the peaceful discipline of Anna's fasting and prayer as you continue your journey. Her life is a quiet song, inviting you into the gentle flow of patient hope and trust. This moment closes softly, like a whispered prayer, leaving you wrapped in the comforting embrace of sacred rhythm. You now find yourself immersed in the tender heart of Anna's spiritual journey, where the interplay of prayer, fasting, and quiet watchfulness forms a sacred dance of devotion. Picture the temple at twilight, the last rays of sunlight slipping through high windows, casting a gentle glow on Anna's serene face as she bows in humble reverence. Her faith is a calm stream flowing steadily, inviting you to slow down and enter the peaceful current of steadfast hope. Her life reveals the profound beauty of spiritual rhythm, a harmonious balance between discipline and surrender. You might imagine the softness of her voice lifted in prayer, the gentle strength behind each fasted day, and the deep trust carried in her patient waiting. This rhythm encourages you to cultivate your own sacred cadence, finding peace in the steady beat of faith that carries you through life's uncertainties. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's practice of watchfulness included an openness to divine revelation in the most ordinary moments, through a glance, a whisper, a subtle sign. Her spiritual attentiveness reminds you that grace often arrives quietly, inviting you to remain alert and receptive. You might reflect on how cultivating such attentiveness can enrich your own spiritual experience. Scholars discuss how Anna's life models the integration of prayer, fasting, and watchfulness as a holistic path to spiritual maturity. This raises a gentle question. How might embracing a balanced spiritual rhythm deepen your relationship with God and your sense of peace? Anna's example gently invites you to embrace the sacred dance of devotion in your own life. The temple's sacred ambience envelopes this moment, filled with the soft echoes of ancient prayers and the glowing light of hope. You feel the steady presence of Anna's faith surrounding you, a warm light guiding you toward calm trust and enduring hope. Her story calls you to slow your pace, open your heart, and rest in the peaceful flow of faithful living. Remember the gentle rhythm of Anna's devotion as you continue your journey. Her life is a quiet song, leading you into a deeper experience of grace and tranquility. This moment closes softly, like the fading notes of a lullaby, leaving you wrapped in the soothing embrace of peaceful faith. You now move gently into the sacred space where Anna's story meets the broader tapestry of biblical prophecy, a world filled with voices both loud and quiet, dramatic and still. Imagine the temple alive with the gentle hum of worship, Anna standing calmly among prophets, priests, and faithful watchers, her presence a soft yet steady thread woven into the fabric of God's unfolding plan. This moment invites you to see how varied expressions of faith come together in a symphony of hope. Anna's life offers a unique example of prophecy expressed through patient waiting and peaceful witness. Unlike the thunderous proclamations of some prophets, her message is carried in the rhythm of daily devotion, prayers whispered in the temple's shadow and fasts observed with humble heart. You might picture her as a gentle herald, whose faithfulness calls others to prepare their hearts for the coming redemption. Her example encourages you to recognize the many ways prophecy can be lived and shared. A lesser-known insight is that women prophetesses like Anna played a crucial role in maintaining the spiritual health of their communities, often acting as intercessors and counselors. Though their voices were sometimes quiet, their impact was profound. You might reflect on how your own faithfulness can serve as a form of prophecy, calling others toward hope and healing through your example. Scholars discuss how Anna's story expands the understanding of prophecy beyond words to include faithful presence and patient waiting. This raises a gentle question. How can your own life embody prophetic witness through quiet acts of faith? Anna's story invites you to embrace prophecy as a lived experience, a daily offering of hope and trust. The temple's sacred atmosphere holds these reflections close, its ancient stones echoing with the prayers of countless faithful. You feel the soft strength of Anna's witness surrounding you, a quiet light guiding you toward peaceful trust in God's promises. Her story gently calls you to slow down, listen deeply, and find your own voice within the chorus of faith. Remember Anna's calm prophetic presence as you continue your journey. Her life is a soft beacon, leading you toward a deeper experience of hope and faithful waiting. This moment closes softly, like a whispered prayer carried on the breeze, leaving you wrapped in the comforting embrace of patient faith. You now enter a gentle reflection on the sacred patience that defines Anna's life, a quiet strength that unfolds slowly, like dawn breaking over the temple's ancient stones. Imagine her standing serenely in the temple courtyard, the early morning light touching her face as she lifts her prayers with calm assurance. Her faith is a still wellspring, offering refreshment to all who come near. This moment invites you to embrace the quiet power of patient waiting and the peace it brings to the soul. Anna's steadfastness is a profound lesson in endurance. You might picture the long hours she spent fasting and praying, her spirit unwavering despite the passing years. Her example reminds you that faith often grows deepest not in moments of sudden revelation, but in the slow, steady unfolding of grace. This encourages you to find comfort in the rhythms of your own journey, trusting that persistence nurtures hope. A lesser-known insight is that Anna's life reflects a broader biblical theme of faithful endurance amidst waiting, a theme echoed throughout Scripture in figures like Hannah and Simeon. This connection highlights the sacred continuity of patient hope in God's plan. You might reflect on how your own experiences of waiting align you with this rich spiritual heritage. Scholars explore the theological significance of Anna's patient waiting, viewing it as an active form of hope that anticipates God's promises without anxiety or despair. This raises a gentle question. How can you cultivate a spirit of hopeful patience in your daily life? Anna's story encourages you to embrace waiting as a sacred act of trust. The temple's sacred space holds the echoes of these reflections, its silence filled with the soft murmur of prayers rising like incense. You feel the steady presence of Anna's faithful heart surrounding you, a calm light guiding you toward peace and enduring hope. Her story calls you to slow your breath, open your heart, and rest in the sacred rhythm of patient faith. Remember the quiet strength of Anna's patience as you continue your journey. Her life is a gentle song, leading you into a deeper experience of grace and trust. This moment closes softly, like the fading glow of twilight, leaving you wrapped in the peaceful embrace of calm faith. You now arrive at the gentle closing of Anna's story, a place of peaceful reflection where the steady light of her faithful witness continues to glow warmly in the temple's quiet corners. Imagine the soft hush of evening settling over the ancient stones, the flicker of oil lamps casting a calm glow as Anna's prayers linger like a tender melody in the air. Her life, though briefly recorded, leaves a lasting imprint, a serene invitation to trust in God's timing and to embrace the sacred rhythm of waiting with open heart. Anna's journey teaches you the quiet power of perseverance, a patient faith that endures through years of longing and prayer without faltering. Picture her steady devotion as a beacon, illuminating the way for all who seek hope in the midst of uncertainty. Her example encourages you to carry your own journey with gentle courage, knowing that even the smallest acts of faith weave into the grand tapestry of God's salvation. A lesser-known reflection is that Anna's peaceful witness resonates beyond her own time, inspiring countless believers to find strength in patient waiting and humble trust. Though her story is brief, its spiritual depth offers a rich wellspring of hope for all who seek to live faithfully. You might consider how her example invites you to become a gentle light in your own community, embodying grace and steady hope. Scholars reflect on how Anna's life encapsulates the themes of hope, prophecy, and faithful endurance, offering a model of spirituality rooted in calm trust and steadfast love. This raises a comforting question. How might you embody the peace and patience of Anna's witness in your daily life? Her story calls you to embrace a faith that is quiet but powerful, patient but unwavering. The temple, resting in the stillness of night, cradles this closing moment. You feel the warmth of Anna's enduring faith surrounding you, a soft light guiding you toward peace, trust, and restful hope. Her story invites you to slow down, breathe deeply, and rest fully in the loving embrace of God's promises. Now, as you prepare to drift gently into rest, carry with you the calm strength of Anna's witness, a peaceful reminder that faithful waiting is itself a sacred prayer. As you settle now into the quiet stillness that surrounds Anna's story, allow yourself to feel the gentle rhythm of her faithful waiting, like the soft beating of a steady heart in the quiet night. Her life, woven through years of prayer, fasting, and watchful hope, invites you into a sacred space where time slows and grace unfolds quietly, almost imperceptibly. This sacred patience is a profound gift, a reminder that even in the silence and in the waiting, God's presence is near, tenderly holding all things together. Imagine the temple's ancient stones, warmed by the fading light of day, cradling her prayers like whispers that never fade. Her calm devotion shines softly through the centuries, a beacon of peace for every soul who longs for assurance amid uncertainty. You are invited to carry this peace with you into your own moments of waiting, your own days of quiet devotion, knowing that in steadfast faith, The smallest acts become powerful prayers, and the gentlest hope can transform the world. As your breath slows and your mind softens, picture Anna's gentle presence beside you, a faithful companion in your spiritual journey. Her story is not just from long ago. It is alive here and now, a living invitation to trust, to rest, and to hope deeply. May her quiet strength inspire you to embrace the beauty of patient waiting and the profound peace that comes from trusting God's perfect timing. Now, as you close your eyes and surrender to rest, feel yourself wrapped in the tender embrace of divine love, steady, enduring, and full of gentle light. Carry the calm of Anna's witness with you, letting it soothe your heart and quiet your spirit. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with peaceful light.